There's been one name on the trade market, Blake, that has begun to get linked to the Dodgers. This, according to John Heyman. He mentioned relief pitcher Tanner Scott of the Miami Marlins as a guy that may be available, and the Dodgers were among 3 or 4 teams linked to him. He's a really good pitcher. You look at his numbers. Aside from his whip, everything else is good. Strikes out a lot of guys. The ERA starts with a 1 this year, I believe. What's your take on Tanner Scott, and how interested should the Dodgers be?
I would be all over getting Tanner Scott if they could pull that one off. I think he's an elite reliever, and the numbers haven't totally shown that with the Marlins, but there's a ton of upside there. He was fantastic last year, and not that the Dodgers need a reliever. Like, I think the bullpen might be the strongest spot on the team right now, which saying something for the Dodgers there, because it seems like every year it's what reliever are they going to get to fix the bullpen? And now we're talking about, like, it would be a nice thing to have, but do they need it? Probably not. But when you talk about the possibility of having Tanner Scott and Alex Vesia as your lefties combined with Evan Phillips.
Come on, don't exclude my guy Banda. He had one bad day, all right?
I mean, like, talking about the playoffs, high leverage spots, you go Tanner Scott, Alex Vesia, Blake Trinan, Daniel Hudson, Evan Phillips, maybe Brusdar Graterol. Like, that's
Anthony Banda
in the 5th or 6th inning. Yeah. Like, that's an elite bullpen you can run out there. And even if one guy's down one day, you have like 4 other options that can come in and just be elite. I think it adds so much to the team, and it just makes a ton of sense to get it done if you can. So I would love to see it. He could be another potential closer behind Evan Phillips when he's out on days. And you just have so many matchups you could make. Like, regardless of what reliever you bring in at any point, you're bringing in an elite arm. It would be pretty hard to mismanage that group.
Yeah. What's interesting about Scott is I love the fact that he leads Major League Baseball in exit velocity. And he's been top 10% in that basically every single year. So if you can limit hard contact, I think that's a skill. Fastball, 96.5 miles an hour, 97th percentile expected batting average. The only thing that makes me skeptical that the Dodgers would be interested in him is the one glaring hole in Tanner Scott's game is he walks a crap load of guys. 16.8% walk rate this year. That is the 2nd percentile. That means he's one of the worst in Major League Baseball at walk rate. That's why his whip is 1.21. So I know the ERA is really good. He's striking guys out. What's interesting is that last year his walk rate was less than 50%, 7.8% last year. But if you go back to 2022, it was the worst in baseball at 16%. So this isn't a reflection necessarily of like, would Tanner Scott be a good thing? I just find it hard to believe, Blake, that the Dodgers would pursue a guy who has that particular glaring hole in his game.
I think that's fair, but there's just so much upside there. And maybe you make one little tweak or something that kind of gets him throwing more strikes, or I'm not sure who the Marlins like everyday catcher is, but maybe he's bad at framing, and getting Will Smith and Austin Barnes helping him out would benefit him. Or like, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And, you know, sometimes the walk is just setting up a double play. So I don't think that's a strategy you want to go down too often, but I mean, I think the Dodgers can kind of help that a little bit more so than the Marlins are able to help him out there.
Yeah, Scott will turn 30 years old next month. This is his last year of team control. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. I guess my bottom line is, like, if they traded for him, I obviously wouldn't be disappointed in it. He's a rental. He's coming from the Marlins. Those two things make me believe the cost probably wouldn't be something that I would like be devastated to see walking out the door. I guess I just tend to agree with you, Blake, that the bullpen is the strongest area. Now, you could make a compelling case that just make a stronger piece of the team. And if you're worried about your starting pitching, and then maybe if you have to go to a bullpen game, or if a starter comes out after 5 innings in the playoffs, if you've got 5 or 6 arms you really, really like out there, then maybe, you know, that's sort of how you patch things together in the postseason. But the walk rate terrifies me, even if everything else is good. Again, 2023, the fact that last year that number was less than 8%, which still is about league average. It's not very great, but if everything else stays the same, you're limiting contact, getting swing and miss, striking guys out, throwing hard, and then league average on walk rate, I can live with it. It's just the 17% walk rate this year that would scare me a little. So again, John Heyman linking the Dodgers to Tanner Scott, a reliever from the Miami Marlins. We'll see if I don't know if people watching the show, if you find him to be compelling and that's somebody you would want to trade for, but please let us know if that is the case.